Charlotte, thank you. Lawmakers are also looking at pumping in millions to try to make Texas schools safer. Joining us now to discuss this further is Dr. Lawrence Scott. He's an education professor at Texas A&M University, San Antonio, and focuses on school safety. Dr. Scott, welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Lawmakers are looking at things like hardening campuses, having an officer at each campus, among other ideas. I mean, how do you think that would help make Texas schools safer? Do you?
Absolutely, I do. As a former administrator, I know the baneful effects of not having that kind of safety net. And again, I've worked in many schools that had a school resource officer, and they were a part of the community. They were an extension of the community and able to keep students safe. Listen, this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is a community issue, keeping our kids safe. Now, I understand that there was a discussion about the funding, right? I know HB3 and HB13 discussed some of the funding of this, but you know, what price will we put on our students' lives, our kids' lives? And one student death is too many. So I think that having a resource officer at every campus is something that we definitely need to invest in if we want to see the progression of our communities.
What else do you think needs to be done that potentially isn't being discussed right now?
Well, as a former school counselor, prevention. You look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that social emotional part of prevention is super important. So I think that if we can reinvest more monies into school counseling programs and SEL programs, social emotional learning, to get counselors, they're not doing system support, but they're reorganizing their time to do responsive services, and they're not purveyors and arbiters of testing, but they're also helping students during their social emotional needs. One of the other things is Davis Law. You have Davis Law in place, and Davis Law has been, amazing. Before it was, as an administrator, it was 300 feet. Anything happened within 300 feet, that's something we needed to mitigate. Well, Davis Law would allow even cyberspace. If you see something, say something. So if we can continue to have our administrators develop communicative vows with the parents in the community, people that can see something can say something, and we always have that.
Dr. Scott, requiring districts to adopt active shooter plans is also being discussed. I mean, do you think that that is necessary training for schools, just a world that we live in now?
Unfortunately, we are there. We're there where first responders are responding to schools and churches and libraries and movie theaters. But I think going back, there's things, having training and continued simulations, clear backpacks, having doors locked from within, community-based hall monitors, cameras accessible to not just school personnel, but also first responders when need be, panic buttons and radios in every classroom. These are just common sense things that I've seen on the ground working 17 years as an administrator and as a school counselor that have worked and prevented many, many, many of the imminent dangers that could have affected our schools and communities.
There are some on the other side who are concerned about some of these measures, saying that we're just going to make schools look more like prisons. I mean, is there a good balance, and do you agree with that?
That is true. I spent my final years at an alternative school, and I understand the optics of the discussion about making it look like prisons and fortification. But I do think it's important that we have to work with the school, and the school has to work with the community to come up with a concerted plan to make sure our students are safe. So yes, on the front end, the optics looks really bad, but again, what price do we put on a child's life?
Yeah, and as we mentioned, millions being pumped in. We'll see how much they spend on all of the school safety in the end. Dr. Lawrence Scott, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Take
Pleasure.
care.
Let's get it.